Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I'm the outreach coordinator for GALECA. I'm also an arts reporter based out of Atlanta. I was lucky enough to see Relighting Candles on the film festival circuit earlier this year, and I'm a huge fan of it. So I'm very much looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, I'm Anthony Allen Ramos, Vice President of Communications and Talent at GLAAD. I also got to see this film, but at the Savannah Film Festival. So excited for it. It's going to be a really great conversation. So I'm so glad you're here.
I'm going to read a brief description of the film, then we're going to get to the Q&A. Ravaged by alcohol and more, Tim Sullivan got sober in 1981. Via another person in recovery, he was introduced to the process of making candles and found a love for shaping wax and concocting new fragrances. By the late 1990s, he had his own candle shop in West Hollywood, which soon glowed with smitten stars seeking his latest creations. One, the Mimosa scented candle, is a wicked wink at his past. In this 21-minute short film, Tim has returned the universe's favor, devoted to hiring unhoused and newly sober people over the holidays to pour up to 20,000 candles sent around the world. For many, the experience has not only been healing, but enlightening.
And now, without further ado, I'm so excited that we're going to be getting to chat with the Relighting Candles director, Zeberiah Newman, and Michiel Thomas, and of course, the legend himself, Tim Sullivan, who this film is all about. Zeb, if I can start with you, tell me a bit about how you got to meet Tim and why this was a story that you knew you had to tell.
Thank you first so much to you and everyone that's on this Zoom to even set this up and want to talk to us. We really appreciate it. I am also I'm a member of the sober community here in Los Angeles. And I myself, many years ago, was a homeless, drug addicted individual living on the streets. And through the kindness of strangers and second chances and opportunities, I was able to rehabilitate my life and get to a point where I got a career, which turned into this big, great life. And along the way, I always sort of remembered and thought about the shop, because Tim has done what was done for me for hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people over the years. And I think especially right now in Los Angeles, where you can't walk out your front door without, seeing homelessness and drug addiction literally everywhere, to think that there's a shop, a little Christmas candle shop in the middle of West Hollywood that is one person at a time offering solutions and second chances to people and humanizing the struggle of early recovery. I just felt like, and to just fully admit, I'm a full Christmas queen. Like, I love Christmas. My tree's already up. It went up the day after Halloween. So this was just a mixture of a bunch of very important topics and intersectional issues that I wanted to put on film, and working with Michiel was also a wonderful, and I was dying to work with him. So to start our process on this film was amazing, and to get to spend so much time with Tim.
That's right. Before I throw it back to Jim, Michiel, I want to come over to you. Why was this something that you knew you wanted to be a part of?
Yeah, like Zeb said, we've been knowing each other's work for a couple of years now. We met at Outfest in 2020. We both had a movie there and we liked each other's work. We also bring similar work, always trying to bring an inspiring story, not just an issue, but look for solutions. And that's why we always knew we wanted to work with each other. So when Zeb reached out to me about this story and this idea, like he said, it's like homelessness and drug addiction. You can't step outside without seeing it. So it is absolutely something that was also dear to my heart as well. So, and I always like to tell a bigger story on a bigger scale through an individual story. And Tim's story was so great that I immediately was on board to do this. So this was a perfect collaboration.
Great. Michiel and Zeb, I'm just kind of curious. Obviously, you have such a captivating subject in this film. When you started the film, did you have a pretty good idea of where this was going to go? Or did you pretty much say, let's just see where this takes us?
Knew Tim, but I did not know his personal story. Sure. And the way we like to work was we have a sort of general direction we want to go in, but we're very open to what's revealed in the process. And we did a very long, how long was that first day interview? Like 6 hours, 7 hours?
8 hours.
8 hours we sat with Tim Sullivan, and we got so much from from him, from his own personal story, that sort of helped shape things. And then also while we talked to the workers and learned about their stories, all of that really sort of shaped things. And we had no idea any of that would happen when we first started. I don't know if Michiel wants to add anything into that.
Yeah, like Zeb said, we had hours of interview, and we just wanted to be open and make sure that we didn't leave no stone turned. And but the great thing is as well is we worked with a great editor, Leah Turner, and she was able to condense all these hours of footage to immediately an hour of footage. So that was a great start to work from, because it was a lot that we had at first, but she did a great job to get going.
Tim, I'm going to come to you. You are at the center of all of this. What was it like for you to see this film for the first time?
It was amazing, because I remember answering the questions, and when Michiel asked me the questions and Zeb asked me the questions, I kept saying to myself, you know, this is very easy, tell the truth. And so consequently, what came out of my mouth didn't even have a chance to get altered or beautified or anything. I just told it as it was and is. And it was just so wonderful to see this at the end of the documentary. I felt so wonderful. They brought me in to ask me if I wanted to change anything or if I saw something that might not be the right thing. And this was very early on. And there was absolutely nothing that I wanted to change. I loved it as is. And it came out exactly as happened that day.
I have a question for Tim as well. Tim, you're very candid in this film about your drinking days. You also mentioned that non-drinking had a huge impact on you. You wanted a clean slate. Can you sort of talk about that and how that not only changed your life, but eventually impacted so many other people in doing so?
Well, fine. When I first got sober to begin with, it was kind of an interesting thing. I was in New York, and I woke up one morning and everything seemed to have changed, not to get into the whole thing of it all, but a few things happened that I call now, you know, the white lights that happen. But I just knew that somehow or another, if I had another drink, I would be dead. And I just wanted to stay away from that half-quart of vodka to 3/4 of vodka a day as I could. And I just took it one day at a time. Now, I wasn't in the program at the time because I felt, okay, I'm doing all right. Another friend of mine was in the program and everything. And I just kept it to myself what I was doing and didn't say a word. And I kept it that way all through my 7 years in New York that I had left. But interestingly enough, the steps revealed themselves to me on my own. Okay. And it really is amazing that I find out that I was doing the steps on my own and didn't even realize it. When I came out here, I met someone who I thought was a New York friend. He wasn't. And we promised to have dinner on a Sunday night, but he said he had to have an early dinner. And we went to Cedar Sinai afterward, where he spoke. And that was my first introduction to the meetings. And from there, I've kept with the meetings for 37 years now and have kept them that way.
We go to a meeting every Friday night together. I make the coffee, Tim brings the cookies. We're the crafty commitments at this Friday night meeting. It's true.
Yes.
You bring cookies, I can do the coffee.
Thank you for sharing that. Zeb and Michiel, you know, we talking about that, building on, you know, addiction and sobriety and the things that this film covers. What do you want people that see it to eventually take away from it? What's the message that you want people to have after they see this?
Well, I think like I mentioned, it's a big issue in Los Angeles, and a lot of people have opinions about it as well. And they like to point out the issue, but not come up with real good solutions. And you know, I don't think everyone can just expect to do what Tim does, to just change their work or business around. But I do think we can all learn from Tim's page of his book. To hire people with who are struggling with addiction or homelessness. I think politicians can learn from this as well. I read a story the other day, for example, that Robin Williams, when he signed on a movie, he had in his contract, you know, I want you to hire people on the crew who are struggling with homelessness. So I think we can all, you know, and that's also what Tim does. So I think everyone, by shining a light on this story, we can all think about like, how can we contribute to this story? Or, you know, and if you don't have power to do anything, just vote, you know, for people who do think that this is important. So I think it's all these little things that can contribute to big change.
I also just want to add, for me personally, I think I want people to sort of get an idea that anything is possible. And that even if you are at the lowest, if you're still alive, it could turn around tomorrow, you know, and with help from other people and a little willingness and a little bit of circumstance, anything is possible. You know, I know for me personally, and some of the guys right behind me, we were literally invisible on the streets. And now with, you know, some time and some people like Tim, we have big full lives, you know, and that surprise for me personally in my life is I never would have ever believed when I was living on Skid Row that one day I would be here making movies with you guys, working in television. You know, it is it's the greatest surprise of my life. And so I want people watching this movie to think about hope, you know.
You have some heavyweights as executive producers, Melissa McCarthy, Ben Falcone. Can you talk about getting them aboard and why it was important for them to be able to tell this story?
I was a producer for 8 years at supervising producer at the Late Late Show with James Corden. And over that time, I got to work very closely with talent. And a few years ago, Ben and Melissa produced the Bob Ross documentary. And I loved that documentary. And when I saw their names at the end, I pocketed that information and I was like, oh, they're doing documentaries now. And I loved working with Melissa and Ben whenever they were on the show. And their publicist, Melissa Cates, who is basically responsible for all of this, she got me a few minutes with Ben and Melissa in their dressing room, and she said, go pitch him. And so I went in and I just said, okay, I know this guy. His name's Tim Sullivan. He has a candle shop. He helps homeless people. It's Christmas. It's a lot of things. And they were like, okay, good. Send us something when you have it. And then Michiel and I started shooting. We put together a very tiny, it was like a montage of moments that we had filmed, and we sent it to them, and literally an hour later they called and said, we're in, whatever you need, we're totally in. And they have been incredible partners. They've been very active. You know, we've both done movies with celebrities before, and to have Ben and Melissa on this is so meaningful because they are just such genuine, real people, and they are very proactive. And you know, they designed candles for the shop. They took Tim to a very fun dinner. They've just really shown up. They've come to the shop. You know, they're actively involved, and I just getting them to come on board was like, it felt like divine intervention. You know,
that's a magical story. Thank you for that. I didn't know that's how it'll happen. That's so great. And
Melissa
I agree, Melissa Cates is the best. But Tim, I want to come back to you because not only are Melissa and Ben, you know, producing this film, they worked with you to come up with these exclusive limited edition Christmas candles. I'm so excited about them. They're on sale now on their website. They're $55. That Ben did one, Melissa did one, and there's only 500 total so far. So Tim, tell me about what that was like to get to collaborate with the two of them on a special candle set.
It was wonderful. Actually, we had set up the table when they came in. The table looked like a big toy store because basically we had everything there. We had the glass there, we had the wax there, we had the fragrance. It was all there to be kind of put together and end up in a candle. And they had the best time playing with these fragrances and playing with the glass and packaging and everything. And quite frankly, it was really kind of something. They were very good at it, actually. And at one point, Melissa had come up with this. We thought it was going to be a floral thing or something like that. And she preferred a fragrance called leather. And
It's gorgeous. The gays are
Yes.
gonna love it.
and we added a little thing to it, and she said, "That's my favorite." And I said, "I think if we could just tone it down and call it suede, it probably would be more apt for you." And she agreed. So she has the suede candle, and Ben has he's a traditionalist in so many ways, and he just picked up loose spruce and fell in love. And those are the two fragrances they chose. And then we did the packaging for them. And it was all mostly done right here, that we designed the package and put the package together and sent it back to them. And they couldn't have been happy about the whole thing.
Well, I mean, they're so, I had a feeling he was going to grab them. Look at those. They're so adorable. And they're available on your website. Get them now. Like, that's like a perfect holiday gift. Like I said, they're $55 each. And they're limited edition and they're fabulous. So thank you for that.